Okay. Tello already got 25. Pardon? She wanted to tell me something. I don't know what she wants to say. So yeah, let's try and get. And it's just checkmate. Oh, it's not. It's just a free bishop. It's a check. Most of the time, these ones are easy peasy. These ones are just easy. Check first so that my rook is defended. No, this mouse is a little bit hard to use. Check, then you pick the rook. That looks like check, king side, check, king moves, checkmate by picking the rook. Then it's just a free bishop, I think. Pick. Yeah, pick fork. Check, king to the side. Check, still king to the side. Check, king to the side. Check, king to the side. Check. King down, check. Is that checkmate? I think that's checkmate. Yeah, this looks like check. King moves up. Oh, I have this thing. Check. King moves up. Check. Sorry. Yeah. What's wrong with these pieces? I meant here. Yeah. Well, it is. Can I pick bishop picks? I fork the rook and the king. I can pick this bishop. So I pick my bishop, I pick the queen. Yeah. What pick back? I can check. He moves to the side. There's this check. I feel like I've done. Oh, this check, does it really work? That check doesn't work, does it? No, this check doesn't work because there's a pawn. Oh, I'm saying this one. This check doesn't work because there's that pick. So that's helpful. Let's see. I am not getting this. They're attacking my. Oh, I can still bring the queen here first. Yeah, bring the queen here. Do they have any check, like big threats? Not really, and I don't think this is a stoppable. It is kind of stoppable. Yeah, there's that. What? There's that. I pick. What is wrong with this thing? There. They come here. Do I have? Is there like a free thing I'm missing? There, they block. Then after they block. Oh, there's this check. I don't know why. I just couldn't see it. This check. Does this work? I think this works. No, does it work really? Check. It works. So I can pick. They pick. I check. King moves. I check him again. Fair enough. Check. King moves there. Check. Where else can the king move? Nowhere. The king just has to move there. I check him if he comes in front of the pawn. Check him again. If he moves besides the pawn, I queen. If I play there, king moves up. Check, and they pick the pawn. I just pick back, and that's a queen. This one, I just feel like I'm winning the pawn race. Let me show you guys. Like, this right click thing is so hard. 3, 4, 5, and I think they have to like move the king. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, I'm winning anyways. Here, okay, this is just a pattern I know off head. This one is check, and then you pick that pawn. Here, what else? Okay, let's see what's happening here. So I'm seeing there's a line here, so I'm looking for tactics. Maybe that's across this line, or this line that can open. And this king is kind of not that safe. Can I play here? The queen looks kind of trapped. Is the queen trapped? I'm thinking here. Okay, so the queen can't play. Sorry. I play here. The queen can't play here. They can't play there. Yeah. Wait, can they? So my bishop is here. The queen comes here. Can I push? Then now the queen can't pick. Can't play there. Can't play there. Can't play there. Can't play there. Yeah, this queen is trapped. Okay, yeah. So there, push. Can't pick. Can't play to the side. Can't pick that bishop. Okay, they can't pick that bishop, but like doesn't really help them, does it? This is a this is a free rook, I think, because I pick, the king picks. Okay, not a free rook necessarily. The king can play there. Sorry, I was saying there, there, there. No, not the queen, but anyways. The king moves back. I play that. They have to play, let's say, something like here. But now they're attacking my bishop, so I think I'll have to move my bishop. And I've just won. That's okay. Okay, yeah, they could block. Well, the knight has played there, and what I'm seeing, first of all, I can play my rook here, which just gives a pin to this king. Sorry. I can play my rook here, which gives a... this right click thing is so hard. I can play my rook here, which pins the knight. Can they defend the knight? Yeah, they can defend the knight, but now I just push
Hi,
my...
Hera.
Hi.
Okatello's stream went without video.
Yeah, the
Charging
kept
was not
switching
on.
off. It was, the charging was on, but it kept saying battery exhausted, battery exhausted.
So there are extra batteries here next time.
What?
Yes. Which are fully charged. So you can take a new one. Like this. Then you open under there and insert this. This is your number what?
I've already done my first 40 with off stream. This thing is so annoying.
Without streaming?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
There's that check, there's this, then there's that. That checkmate, yeah, that's checkmate. But what if I play this check and then they can play maybe something like that? Oh, then they can just pick that knight. Check, king moves, check. King can't move anywhere, check, there. Oh yeah, check. The king can move here, then there's this check possibility. I think the king moves here, then this is just a knight.
You're enjoying your arrows?
Yes, very much. Yeah, very nice try. Okay, let's see. First I've seen there's this. That's the first thing. The other thing, my knight, my bishop, the king is also cut off. If I could get my bishop to check. But let's see, what other do I have? What? I cannot.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Please don't help.
Let me help you here. Let me help you. So.
No, don't help.
Okay.
Okay, first I've seen this. The queen picks this at fork. What if they don't pick?
Ta-da! The amazing Tello arrived.
What can they play if they don't pick? If they don't pick, can they play anything? Like there. They sorry. There, and they can't play here, they can play there because of my bishop and this other bishop that's going to be here. They can't, or if they pick, then now there, if they pick, then I can just play there. Can they play this queen? It can't go there. I think, yeah, and that's, I think that's the best move.
Very nice.
Okay, so what I've seen this diagonal. If I, okay, let's say I pick, there's a pick back, then a check. Then king moves to the side. Can I bring my queen? If I bring my queen, how do they stop this? Does it even threaten anything? Okay, let's say I pick. The king picks back. Sorry, I check here. If the king moves back, that's just easy. Because now I can come here, check. They have, do they have to block? No, they don't have to block. They can play the king down here. Then if there's a check, then the king comes here. then after the king comes there, what? I'm not seeing continuation. What are you looking at?
So, may I say something?
Yeah.
Why is Pa so formal tonight? I don't know. Jimmy, agree.
Did I disturb you during your stream? Did I come in the
Yes,
camera like
yes,
this?
yes.
I didn't disturb you. Did
Yes, you
I
did.
Dad, was Taylor being serious during her stream? Taylor, was she being serious during her stream?
Papa,
Let's see.
Papa, I was on 14 in the no. Until I said oops because I played the fastest intro. And then do you know what Tara did? She told me the answer of the move.
It was a mistake, that one.
How was it a mistake? I don't know. Did you tell Taylor?
No, because she said oops. She said oops, like I thought she played the move. Then I asked her, like, you see there I can say, like as if I've gotten it wrong. Then I asked her, did you fork the
Bishop and the queen.
Yes, that's what happened.
But that move should be natural to Taylor. When the bishop and the queen are on that diagonal, on that, like they've made a battery.
They're on a diagonal.
They are the same.
And then the square in between them is dark.
No,
And
the way
knight is close.
Number 15, not close. The knight on c3 can always, when the queen and the bishop are always like that.
Like this, like one square there.
Knight going to c3 can always go to a4 to fork the queen and the bishop. It's a very common move. Just have that move in your hand. But also, remember the first move you think about is a check. What is a check? A check is an attack on the king. When you can't attack the king, what is the next piece you must take if you can attack queen? So you really don't want to miss any attack on the queen.
After
that, you want to look at...
and then you attack the rook.
Yeah,
Bishop.
So when you're looking at a check...
Let's just look at that because...
Got around.
Yeah, I got the first moves correct.
But you didn't calculate. See, that's a problem. You get the first move, you take some time thinking about the first move. And the second move you play immediately.
You have to
see, and that
play
is
fast,
really not what
pause.
The idea is. It's a very simple move. If you pause here and think, the move is very obvious. Pause, think.
What did Tara play?
Every move, think. What did you play? Queen to h5.
Yeah.
That's a serious plan. What's the move, Taylor? Say it.
I have something in my
Heart.
It's knight to g6.
Why?
Because the first thing to attack is the king.
Of course. Very simple tactic.
I honestly didn't see that.
Yeah, because you need to think through, like after every move, you're thinking 3 moves in chess. But all 3 moves should be thorough moves. And one reason why I lose games and why you lose games is the first move is thorough. Move 2 and move 3 are kind of lazy-ish.
Choppity chop.
Yeah, you really need to look at all the checks on move 2, all the captures on move 2, all the attacks on move 2, and the same for move 3. So in chess, you just have to think 3 moves, but all 3 moves must be thorough. If you think the first move, then you assume second move, third move, you get wrongs. Which really, and that happens in real life chess, where you think this is going to happen. And it goes like this: I play here, then he plays and I play and I play here. So grandmasters don't think like 40 moves ahead, they only think like 3 or 4. But all 4 moves are thorough and well thought out. Practices, on the other hand, think even 15 moves, but move 3 is wrong. Because they're not saying a very basic thing.
Magnus Carlsen.
Hello.
Magnus Carlsen, however, created 23 moves. And he was looking at a window.
Let's see after.
I have proof.
You have proof?
Yes.
I want to see the proof.
With the remote.
Oh, but if you show it now, it's gonna go into your stream, and then your video will look like it's taking video from somebody else. You have to wait until you're off stream. It's called copyright.
Yeah, because if I push this pawn first, they can take, push, and come back.
Can you connect this to the power socket?
Can you connect what? Yeah, definitely. Go ahead and connect. You can go last week or something. Where do you want to connect it?
Here. This one. Not that one, the other one.
There's someone here. There's one here that's closer. Okay, fine. Go ahead and do it.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, you're doing work.
No, I'm just closing this.
What? That was a right click. I wanted a left.
Papa, you can just
I wanted a right click, not a left click. So there's that. Huh?
Sarah, please don't
Can they
play.
pick? Yeah, they can. They can pick. Then I can pick here. If they pick back, then I pick this. And what do we have? These two knights of the board. It's a bishop knight. What have I won? I've not won anything, have I? I've not won anything. Just a pawn. But if I pick
the way to think in chess, Sarah, the first thing is to look at candidate moves. Before you start calculating, take time to look at all candidate moves.
Is that help?
No, that's not help.
But
So I'm not
last
saying.
time that you did that to me, you said it was help.
No, I'm not really helping. I haven't even looked at the puzzle. What I'm saying is, because I see what Sarah does, she sees one move, and then she thinks through it. And that's how she misses like a very easy possible alternative. Because what she then does is she just plays the move that comes to mind immediately. And that cannot be right, can it? So, first thing you want to do, look at the candidate moves. And what moves are those? Active moves. Look at any checks, look at any captures, and look at any threats. So, identify them first and foremost. It's always a good thing as well to think about the active moves for your opponent as well in that position. So you have an idea what you're going to be thinking about. Then now you can prioritize them. The ones that look most likely, you start with that and start calculating. But the first step before calculating is identifying the candidate moves. Now, the natural habit of the body and the heart is to choose the easy option, which I call the lazy option, where you don't really do the detail look so hard. And that's where you get things wrong. So this is not a chess lesson, it's a life lesson, discipline. In discipline, you know what you're supposed to do. It's kind of hard, kind of difficult, but you do it anyway. And it becomes a habit, it becomes easier.
Stop doing that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The good things in life sometimes when you're starting, they sound very hard, but if you do something over and over again, it becomes a habit. The body gets used to it, and you get to do it right. Yes, what's up?
Somebody said.
I'm also talking to you, young lady. Somebody said what? BRB, what does that mean?
B, like not B, B.
So I can.
Did you understand what I said? Tell me.
There's that
Yeah.
What was I saying?
You were saying that you have like
Does this
you
really
can
mean
choose the
anything?
option
Also that.
and the other option and the lazy
What other
option is
thing?
the one that
What other
is
thing? Let's
like
see.
you
Which other
take
tax
the
do I
right-
have?
like it's like I don't know how to explain.
Oh, I
it,
can pay
but
my
you're
mates
taking the
just
wrong
here.
path.
And I'm not talking about life. I'm not chess. I'm talking about life in general. Life and chess are very close. So sometimes there's something you're supposed to like. You're supposed to finish your work before you go to sleep. You're supposed to read fast before you watch TV. You're supposed to do something like work hard at something.
Like you have to.
That you're feeling so like it's not so much, but you work at it. So discipline is like those things that sound hard but are good.
Yeah.
You get your mind.
I think I understand what it
So we
what
have
you say.
1, 2,
Discipline
3,
is
4.
when you say that
4.
you don't want to do it, but you
So
do
we
it.
can start with
Like
this
something
one.
it's right.
What
something
happens
you're
by
supposed to do, and you're
pick
feeling
here?
like, no, I don't want to.
Okay, so they can
but you
pick
have to do
this
it.
way.
Yeah, that's one way, but not even that only. It's
That's the
also
first
just means
thing.
that you know what the right path is.
Then-
This is what's
Yeah.
supposed to be done. You know the right method,
Pick.
you do the right process.
Yeah,
So
but you can
you do the right
sometimes
process.
choose.
Sometimes that right process is easy,
Okay, so
sometimes
there's
it's
the
hard.
first one.
But
For
whether it's
picking
easy or
here.
hard, discipline is doing the
We
right
pick.
thing, the right process.
And
Sometimes the
this
body says, I feel like
check.
let's not waste our time.
Okay,
Let's
that's
just
right.
focus. Let's just play this move. It looks right, right? So what you want
So
to
I
do
have
is
a
not do that
bishop.
anyway. So for chess, the right process is like this. Before you make your first move, you identify your candidate moves. Once you've seen your candidate moves, look at your opponent's candidate moves, first and foremost. Once you've done that, now think, because you'll miss very few things. And just like that, you'll stop blundering. Just like that. Because many times you blunder because you didn't see your opponent's threatening checkmate or a check, they have an active move. But once you see that, your choices become very easy. Have you looked at your candidate moves?
Yeah.
What are they?
My bad.
I'm just asking, I'm not going to comment or not. Just tell me.
I've thought of my captures, which I have just this.
Papa, somebody asked.
Lots of.
Papa, mom's told me everything.
So those are captures, all right?
Not only captures, but like moves that attack.
So the attacks are what?
There's this knight here, like that.
What is it attacking?
This knight, the rook. The knight also the rook, and this knight. Even this knight here is attacking the rook. Oh, there's also this other knight move. They all attack the rook, but some of them are forcing, like this one. Then we have queen here, and there's also queen pick. That's one capture. That's like a free pawn. Then we can just also just move our rook out of the way.
No, I mean, yeah, that's also so. Okay, so when you look at your checks, captures, and attacks, right?
Yes.
What are your opponent's active candidate moves? Let's assume it is your opponent's position. What's the candidate moves? Have you looked at that?
I haven't looked at it, but there's knights.
So I haven't looked at it is a wrong answer because the process is very simple. First and foremost, look at your candidate moves. Second step, before thinking, look at your opponent's candidate moves because you don't play chess alone. You make your move, then your opponent makes a move. And when you don't look at your opponent's candidate moves, you miss their checks. So you play a move that looks very smart. The player move, it's either a checkmate or a serious attack, and the answer is I didn't see it. So the easy thing is not to look, but that's the wrong thing. So I'm trying to teach you guys a very easy way to get better at chess. First things first, look at your candidate moves. Second step, not calculating, look at your opponent's candidate moves. In that way, you're going to notice very important things. Now, once you've seen those candidate moves, then now you can now start calculating, and you start by looking at the one that attracts you the most, the one that looks like most natural. So in this case, I've seen you look at knight d4, for example. So, but first, before you look at knight d4, you have to calculate, look at your opponent candidate moves. What are they? Knight attacking the rook on c8, knight to, yeah, so look at those kinds of things. Does that make sense?
They can pick. What else can they do?
What are the candidate moves for your opponent? That's the first question I'm asking. Checks, captures, attacks. What are those moves? Or threats. Attacks or threats. I'm using the interchangeably, they're not the exact same thing. So that's I'm more interested in the process and that you learn to follow that process. In that way, you do something, you may take a bit more time, but you get it right the first time. Okay? What's up?
This is supposed to come here.
Fresh. You're not sending telephone. Tell you this.
Because sometimes it does that on its own.
So I'm just waiting for you to tell me the white's candidate moves. That's it.
Knight picks. There's rook pick and there's pawn push.
There are way more candidate moves there. Way more. White has so many potential moves that you really want to pay attention to. Like, okay, first of all, captures. Knight to f7 is a capture. Knight to b7 is a capture. Can you see that? And knight the other side. Those are captures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you really want to see those moves, even if you think they're not good, but you need to pay attention to them because those moves have consequences. Now, what are the threats that white can play?
Pawn here.
Pawn where?
Here.
What is the threat?
First of all, down to open lines here. If you pick, they can pick back. That's a checkmate threat.
Okay, what else?
There's queen here threatening to push.
What else?
Rook here threatens the queen.
What does it threaten the queen? Okay, it's a pick, but yeah. It's a capture, you've looked at it. There's one more threat you really want. There are two threats actually. Knight c4 is an attack on the queen. So look for attacks on your king, those are checks. Then the first threat you want to look is, can your queen be attacked? Alright? Can any of your pieces be threatened? So look at your pieces. Can any of your pieces be threatened? There's that move, yes, a5. That's a move you really want to see. Can any other move be threatened? Any other piece? Look at your bishop. There's a very nice threat there, b4. If you do nothing about b4, the next move is b5. And actually, it's a fork threat. So you have a fork threat. It's a very hard. If you miss such a move, and that move is possible, you lose the game. So you really want to take your time to identify your opponent's active moves before you play, so that you know that you have an adequate response to those moves. Okay, so identifying your opponent's, tell or listen to what I'm saying. Identifying your opponent's key ideas is one of the best ways to ensure you don't get surprised. And it starts by just looking. Once you see those ideas, you can now take your time to think about what is important, what looks reasonable, what you need to think about. And of course, the best defense is to attack. So in this case, because you looked at your opponent's moves, you have to think about two possible moves. Moving your rook away, for example, let's say to d8 or something, whatever square. And also, when the move b4 is played, you need to think about what your bishop is doing if you're not counter-attacking. But by far the best defense is to counter-attack. So I'm trying to teach you how to find the absolute best moves in every position. But what will stop you from doing it is habit. Habit says, oh my goodness, this is such a hard task. This puzzle is not hard. So in every position, so you start with the most opportune moves, right? So you play the first move, this. You have a new position. In that new position, follow the process. A lot of the previous candidate moves remain true. But what happens in a lot of chess positions is the second move you get it wrong because you don't think it through. So what move are you thinking about in this position? What move are you calculating? That move, for example, right? So if you play that move, what are the options? The most natural move, great. So let's start with that before. Okay, and that move, yes, exactly. Actually, there's even, yeah, those are all moves you want to think about, right? Okay, those are your opponent's possible candidate moves. Now in that new position, so you want to calculate each move one at a time. Start with the most natural. So what move do you want to start with for black? For white?
Knight takes.
Knight takes, okay. So knight takes, what move are you thinking about?
One move is this.
That's a check. So in that position, you ask yourself again, checks, captures, attacks. And a lot of the active moves have not changed. So you really have maybe just one thing that changes. Like now, after knight takes, now rook takes c1 is possible, and also queen takes d4 is possible, right? So those are pretty much the new changes that are taking place. Otherwise, you've lost a piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
So start with those two moves and calculate them and tell me what you think. So if you take there, so calculate that move. The first move you're thinking about is what?
There. Then there's pick.
Rook picks. That's a natural move. Now pause. Okay. What moves do you now have and you're thinking about? Queen there, right?
Yeah.
What is the from queen there? Do you have any new threats? Do you have any? What can your opponent do, for example?
Oh, oops.
There we are. Queen there. So it's opponent's turn. So here again, you just take a pause and look at checks, captures, attacks, and threats. And then you look at your opponents. It sounds very complicated, but it's not. The moment you do this, your brain has a way of figuring these things out quickly. But you must tell it, this is our process. And you must practice it. Otherwise, the brain is very bright. It takes the easiest way out. Okay? The winning way sometimes becomes very easy. Like when you think like that, these moves become obvious. Alright, so what have you seen?
Well, I'm checking the material. If I'm winning, I have
Sorry?
this.
I'm not asking you to, I'm asking other threats in that, because that line is not over. You see, a line is over when active moves like or moves that have threats are finished. That's when you finish that line. So you look for, let's say now we have queen on d4, queen on c1. There's still a bit that can happen. What kind of moves do you see possible? Do you have any threats, first of all, in your position?
There's that. There's that.
Mm-hmm. So look at those
There's
moves.
this.
Yeah, those are actually quite interesting moves. So look at those moves. And the way you have to think about it is, for example, now the queen is on d4. What new opportunities exist? The queen is on c1. What new positions exist, right? Mm. But if you need help, I can help you.
This thing was refusing to show these things. It was refusing.
How did you get it to do it?
I had to go to scratch.
Mm.
I had to go back. I had to make everything on place. I even had to go to my file.
Where did you move the king?
Hmm?
You see, those are the things that you need to really pay attention, because you're not thinking through. The other moves are coming automatic. The moves you're thinking is, can the queen really go to that square your king move the king to? You put there for the king.
Oh no. Does it work?
The queen is not there.
Yeah. It comes from here.
So my thinking process is, if I pick on c1, I don't choose a move for white. I ask myself what are the options. So I don't decide to blunder my queen first. First of all, I ask it's a check. What moves do they have? Then I see they have king to d2. Doesn't sacrifice the queen. But if I decide to choose queen to d8 in my thinking process, that's the only move. Then of course I assume that's what we're gonna do. Then I play the move and find it's a mistake. Then I say I didn't see that they could move to d2. But you can't see what you don't look for.
But
Right.
if I play here, I can just pick this.
But your queen is gone. So what have you won?
We have a knight for a bishop. Not this knight. Knight for a bishop. 2 rooks for a queen. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing. You're evaluating the position after those exchanges, right?
Yes.
So if you want to evaluate the position, what do you look at? Material is just one. It's not about who has more material. It's about what the material is doing, right?
Yeah.
So what do you want to look at? Number one is material. Number two is what?
Well, this rook is active than this queen. Wait. Is it?
So piece activity. Fine. So let's look at the pieces that white has. What pieces does white have? Queen and after all those exchanges, where is the queen? White queen, where is it?
Yeah.
And which other piece?
This knight.
How active are those pieces?
They're active.
They're
active.
Very active. Very nice. What are you comparing them to? Those two guys and that bishop. So by piece activity, who is better?
Well, I have a rook here. My
is
bishop is here. And I think I can bring my rook.
Bringing the rook is fine, but you see, the way I look at that is how can I create a threat? Like, how can I create what's a plan? Say, for example, yes, you have a rook on h8. I need to get my pieces to work together, right? So let's say I'm given, let's say I give you like 3 moves. Here it's just you. Your opponent doesn't have, like I give you 4 moves, not 3. What moves will those be? Just make your moves to get your fantasy position after the exchanges, after we're evaluating the position.
Oh.
After we are looking at the resulting position. So what are the possible moves?
But this knight is...
Those moves, knight is not there. That went.
If you are given 5 moves.
4 moves.
Oh.
What are those 4 moves? What do you do? Those are out. Like the queen is on d4, your rook is on h1. Your white queen is on d4, your rook is on h1. You have the rook on f1 and you have your bishop. What are those 4 moves?
Play here, here, here.
Hera, that's not happening. Like, first, you don't want to try and, I'm not asking like your opponent is going to pass moves. You have to make a plan that looks like it's realistic. That generally involves bringing more pieces into an attacking position. Nobody is going to allow your rook to come to h4 and take on g4 and take the queen, because the opponent is not going to pass. Where we're heading to is not that your opponent is going to play, but what is the setup? How do you want to position your pieces? What structure are you looking for in terms of pawns? Where are you putting your pieces in order to get an attack? Let's assume your opponent doesn't see your plan, but it's not like a hope chess. It is a serious plan to get your pieces into the game, into an attacking position. What is that plan?
I can bring my rook here.
Okay, that's one.
My bishop
Clear
to
the
come.
arrows. Clear the arrows. The other rook comes.
My rook here. My bishop to come. Maybe here and here.
Your bishop to go there and there. Okay.
Yeah. Wait, 1, 2, 3.
So what's your plan in that position?
Rook here.
What's the idea?
You win the queen.
Okay, and by the way, this king, it's on d2, fine, no problem. So, already in that plan, you don't need your bishop to be on, so you can already see that your bishop really can't go to e2. So in that whole plan, can any of those moves be stopped easily? Like you can't force it. That's what you ask yourself now. So for example, bishop to e2, that's not happening, is it?
No.
Yeah, because the moment you play the king picks, but there is a possibility that you can play rook to c1, which is a very good move, activating this other rook, and you can play the rook to c1. That's a move, so you attack on the 8th rank. That's a decent plan. Try and get your bishop and the rook to work together. Although the moment I see that, winning the queen is not possible because the queen is definitely going to move, let's say, to f4, because there's an attack here. But then the king is a bit airy. That's a plan. Okay, fine. Is there a plan for, are there plans for white? Let's say white has 4 moves. What kinds of plans are they looking at?
From that position.
From that position. Because it will help you understand who is better. And if you do all these sections, you don't see who's better, then it's a bit tricky. So this is the hardest part of chess, by the way, of getting out. Yeah, those are, I think, what are those moves you're thinking about?
Maybe.
So to understand, you want to look at every side of the board and see what's going on there. So it's very easy to see your opponent's weakness, where the king is, but it's very hard to see your own weaknesses. So your queen and your knight are gone. The first thing that strikes me, there's a pawn hanging on a7, right?
Yeah.
So now I have 2 pawns on the queen side, you have 1. And that becomes like an outside pass pawn, is a bit tricky. Number 2, there's an active move we saw from move 1 that has not been sorted. That active move is b4, b4 and b5. b4 and b5 to trap this bishop. Okay, that move and that move. Those are very serious threats, and it's very hard to really do something about them. Then the other thing I can see is that if I can get that bishop out of that square, number 1, then also the, so my attacking plan as white is very simple. I see, in fact, I see my knight is very active. It's attacking the pawn on b7, but that pawn is defended by the bishop. I also know I have to pass pawns on that other side. So one of my, now I've just looked at ideas. One of the ideas is bring my queen to a7, taking the pawn. Now I'm attacking the pawn on b7 twice, bishop and knight. So I can actually pick it and I have that extra pawn, for example. That's a possibility. Or I can plan, because my knight is very strong where it is, I can plan to push b4 and b5. And by the way, the knight sitting on d6 means that your rook can never get to c8 without being picked. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So in my assessment of this position, black's plan is very hard. The other plan black may have is to sacrifice a rook for this knight, which is terrible. You have a passed pawn on d5, which can possibly be pushed. White's king is a bit airy, it can be attacked, but getting the pieces to attack it is very hard. The pawn structure for white is definitely a little bit worse, but then there's some weak pawns for black. The black pieces are not coordinated at all. That's a serious problem. So in my assessment, that resulting position is very bad for black. It's possibly losing because you're going to lose 2 pawns immediately. Your pieces are not active. White has a monster knight on d6 that cannot be removed. It's controlling the only open file. Your pieces are not coordinated. There's a rook alone on h1. There's nothing happening there. There's the only open file, your rooks can't go there. Your bishop is not active. It's almost being trapped. And immediately you're losing a pawn. Right?
Yeah.
So, and maybe a second pawn also. So I will definitely not go for that line because it doesn't seem right. Does any of the things I've said make sense?
Yeah.
So that position that you're thinking about, it means I have to look at a different one. This is a fairly instructive puzzle. Okay, so pick that. Then we're back to this position. That's move number what? Number 3, right? So the evaluation in this position, it's white to play. You follow the same exact evaluation that we've just done for that position. What's the current situation? Number 1, do you have any threats as black? That's a starting point. Do you have any threats?
Yeah.
What's your threat? But is that okay? It is but then there's a knight on d6 which will pick your queen.
Okay. Yeah.
Clear the arrows. Where's your queen? Highlight the square. When your queen is there, and the other queen is on, and these 2 knights are gone, right? That knight is gone. Highlight it. Highlight that knight, and highlight this other knight also.
Wait, no, that's not highlighting.
Highlight this other knight. Maybe also I like that idea. Looks like it's a way to cancel it. So just cancel it the way you did. Those 3 arrows are fine. And this other knight is also gone. Okay, they're not there anymore.
Oops.
Okay, so and highlight where the queens are. There. Okay, this position, when I ask, assess what are your active moves if you are black. That's a check, yes. Okay, even the check you said is a bad check, but it's fine, it's a possibility. That's a checkmate threat, very nice. But checks, I said checks. Leave. B-E-L-I-E-V-E.
Huh?
Do you have any checks, Hera?
Yeah.
1. Mm-hmm. 2. Mm-hmm.
1. I've said 1, 2, 3, 4,
Can you please write each
5.
one? What did you put?
Where is it writing? I can't see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you put 2 B's?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Mm-hmm.
6,
Mm-hmm.
7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are checks.
The 2 more checks. That's a very important one to take note of, because that check is attacking the king and it's going to win a knight. You know, you cannot sit, you don't look for it, and it's a very hard habit, but you can see the most important threat in the position doesn't occur to you until you look, and there's your father and coach whispering in your ear. So queen to d4 actually threatens queen to e5 check, winning a knight. That's the most significant. Of course, all the other checks are not very serious. That's a very serious possibility. And now your rook is gone from where it was. Okay, so let's see. You've picked a rook. That's a very serious threat. Have you seen? Anything else? Let's see. What other threat might you have in that position? There's that checkmate threat, but maybe it's easy to defend. I'm not sure. How do you stop? How does black stop that threat? That fork you want to play?
This fork. Queen here.
Queen here?
E3.
Queen e3. And what does that do to the pawn structure? So already you're a pawn up. Your pieces are a lot more active. And by the way, there's a move to dislodge that knight completely, and that move is to undermine the defending pawn, which is to play f6 later in life. So maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but I like that position much better. The black is a pawn up. White has an extra weakness in e5. The many threats, pieces are more active, and yeah, and even the many more. So I'll probably consider that possibility. What other moves are there? That looks like an interesting, promising move.
If the queen plays there, I can play here.
You can play? What's the idea? But why will they play? When you play check, do they only have, first, that move is impossible. There's a bishop. Number 2, why only oh yeah, they can't play now. Yeah, why can't they play? Well, actually, that doesn't work. You have that check. You have to play to e2, d2, and win the queen. Yeah? So that also doesn't work. So the queen cannot move up to stop it. Anything else?
Oh, the queen can't go there.
They can try. The move you want to think about is f4 as a pawn move to stop, but that's a thoroughly weakening move because it creates the king becomes more airy and it's easier to attack. I like that position. Can you see?
Yeah.
Okay, so play the line. Okay, let's check first before you play whether there's something better. So the candidate moves, you saw that. Knight takes. Of course, if they take, is there an in-between move? By the way, we're assuming that when you take on d4, they will take, but maybe they'll not do that. Maybe they have other moves that are in between, and those moves are attacking something important, not those. So I'm seeing now knight to c8 attacking your queen, and rook takes c8 attacking the queen. But in those situations, I see knight f3 check taking this queen as a possibility. So let's look at that. Knight on d4, knight takes c8, knight takes knight check, queen goes up. Actually, a king goes outside, and then first things first, you're attacking the queen. Yes, you can take with the queen check, and then they probably have to block there. The rook is not there. The rook is gone, it's been captured. So in this position, I'm seeing the possibility of taking that. Let's see. Check there. Check. Yeah, calculate that. That's a very interesting. So if you make an assumption, knight takes. Okay. Let's play that check. That's okay. Queen check looks interesting. So it is wait a minute. So is there an in between? It doesn't work. Check. Queen check. The queen has to come and block. Okay. That was the situation there. We have the checks. I can now take your queen. You take my queen. Knight takes e5. I've won 3 pawns for the exchange. I still like my position, though you can take the pawn on a7. Maybe I'm missing something very simple there, but this is how I'd be thinking in this position. Okay, I'm just trying to see there's an in-between move. They don't have to take on d4, and that the most threatening is rook takes, knight takes here. So the other thing is I'm attacking your queen, you're attacking my queen, and I've taken your knight. So can I move my queen to a threatening space where it's threatening something? So you really can't move your queen away. Interesting. Can you see it?
Yeah.
What's the answer?
After the knight picks. Well, there's pick. The king's to the side. Then check. Pick. King there.
Oh, sorry, someone is saying something. Have a look. What's there?
Can I read it?
Oh, someone is saying Danny Wambugo says super coach and brilliant players. I'll keep reading. Thank you.
Super coach and brilliant players. Impressive analysis. Keep up the good job.
So when you start this kind of thinking, it's very hard. It looks like it's too much work, and you can even end up giving up. But if you stick to it, it becomes natural. This is what the grandmasters do naturally. They don't even think about it. Even in bullet chess, they see this.
Thank you very much.
Because the moment, if you keep repeating something over and over, your brain gets used to it.
Hello, Pa.
For example, if you keep repeating,
Papa.
not practicing.
Somebody said hello, Pa.
Hello, Pa. Oh, hi, Kwabe Omuso.
Are you?
Why is Pastor formal tonight? Yeah, I'm from work. I do work.
And where did you go with Mom?
I took Mom to a movie.
I knew it, and the movie starts with S.
What? Yeah, that's yeah, we missed it yesterday. Okay, so in chess sometimes you're not able to see anything, so you can just make a decision.
Papa, is that Jimmy?
And,
Jimmy Sinu.
Yeah, as long as you understand.
Papa, Jimmy Sinu.
Jimmy Sinu, aggressive Sinu.
Is it Jim Jam?
Then you can evaluate all these moves after.
Hello.
And that will be the end of it.
Oh.
Now, look, let's
hello.
look at that position. Let's look at that
Hi.
position. Let's see what happens.
Fuck. Wait,
And you can do the evaluation.
1 second.
This. It's very important to understand why this is a best. This is a very tough tactic. Okay. So in this position, let's do. It's not that's not true. It's not rated 1700. What was that? Go back. There's a lot to learn from this puzzle because we were trying to evaluate and we weren't able to. We ended up with the right decision, but it wasn't so clear cut. So let's go back to. It's not enough to get the correct moves, but to understand why the moves are correct and not the other. So let's see. Analysis here. Okay, this. Let's go forward. Okay, so I press myself so that I want to see a couple of things. This is what I do if I'm done studying, and I'm studying for myself, not for my coach or for my parent or anybody. So the first thing I said, I was looking at,
Who's your coach?
why not this move
Dad,
here? What
who's your
happens when this is done? And they are saying knight f3 check. This we saw, correct? And then we said this move is forced, right?
Papa.
And then we said queen b3 is the correct move, check, and we said the queen must come up. Oh, what is this move? Oh, this we didn't see. We didn't have seen this check. Impressive. Only move, check. And I thought about it for a fleeting second. I thought it looked too bad. King d2. And this guy is gone. Can you see that tactic? It's a long one. This is a very lengthy tactic. Let's see. So we are saying this is one move. That's an in-between move. One, okay, so 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 move tactic, not too bad. That's doable. So just a question of discipline to look. So let's see what we had in mind. Who's better? This is 5.3. So the next move after that is queen b4. Then there is, okay, well, let's try what we're gonna do. This black is still better. Then you take this. Yeah, black is still better. What I told you, that you have 3 pawns for a piece. Although I saw they could take this pawn here, and I'm not sure that's a good move because this knight goes really offside and it can be trapped easily. In fact, it's almost lost. So that kind of position. So that's the first thing we saw. So I'm basically checking our other calculations, and we were saying that this, then this, then we said this, then this. White is actually winning, but not because of that. They can actually pick here first, which I saw, by the way, as a possibility, so that they don't have any. I didn't tell you about it, but I saw that possibility. Let's just follow this line, and white is better. And I have a feeling that in here, look at the move that is being proposed. Number 1 is this move, attacking this bishop. The reason I didn't like it too much was because of this move, but then b5 buries this bishop completely. It's not coming out anytime soon. Look at that. That this gets to be attacked. Very nice plan. Let's see the other plan I had in mind, which is to pick here, whether it does anything. Sorry, let's see back. Yeah, completely winning. Like, what move can they play? Let's see what move. Let's get the king out. Does this work? Let's try this. Then b4 threatens the bishop, of course. Bishop has to go to f1 and then takes this pawn, and white is winning. So basically identifying the targets in chess is a very good, and those 2 pawns are going to be queens, and white is definitely better. A very important skill, Telo and Hera, is evaluating the position after tactics.
What's evaluate?
Look at the position and say who's better. It's a very difficult skill. It's very important, and that's the key decision between the 2 moves. All right, and it comes down to piece activity piece coordination, pawn structure, king safety, those kinds of things. And the plans. If your plans are easier, your play is easier, you don't want to do it. Why king? Why king? Where king captures is first here, right?
Okay, that. Let's get Papa. Papa, is your pockets tight? Papa,
I'm curious, why couldn't they couldn't have gone this route? Yes, tell me what's up.
are your pockets tight?
Are my pockets tight?
Yeah, they look really tight.
Check,
And
pick.
your skin is like a bump. And
Check.
Papa, you think I'm starting pretty well?
Hmm?
Check, pick.
Am I
That
starting
doesn't
pretty
work.
well? Because everything
This
here,
is this
I
that.
had tested it yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Let me just see where the save option is. Normally it's in file. Let me see. Let me see whether you have an option to save your projects. Yeah, save now. This is.
Papa, can I first finish?
But you can save it every time so that you don't lose it. Okay, saving project.
Can I first finish my project?
Let me explain. You have to keep pressing that save now button. Because if, say for example, the laptop crashes and you've not saved it, when you open next time you'll not find it. That's why you've been doing so many projects, it can't happen. So you save now and be saving. That's something you're doing. You know, with computers, imagine you have done work for a whole 6 weeks. Then you forgot to save. And you come and find it has crashed. Where will you get 6 weeks from? The people who had that kind of a problem in life. So
And
sad.
Papa, do you think I'm starting pretty well?
Yeah, you started well. I liked your scratch video. But the guys watched Taylor's scratch stream yesterday. It was fantastic.
They can't see you.
No, they can't, of course, but they can hear me.
They can't.
They can't.
Guys, don't forget to watch my latest scratch video. Not latest scratch video.
Mhm.
Today I'm going to do her.
So when you're attacking a piece, right? The question you ask yourself is, what move can they play that does more than one thing? And generally, the question is counter-attack. So what exactly are they? Like attacking the defender is a very solid plan, right? Like now you're saying rook c1. But what's the idea of rook to c1?
The skewer.
It's a skewer. So the natural thing is to think, I attack the queen, it moves away. So many games have been lost by thinking like that. That queen has one fantastic move after rook to c1. You need to see and you need to see why. It's a very easy move, but you have to learn the concept of looking like what active squares can the queen go to? What can it do actively? It goes from there. There are actually two ideas. One is very easy to refute and one not so easy.
Well, the only squares the queen can move to. It can move here.
Sorry?
No, I'm saying the idea, the places the queen can move to are the non-highlighted ones. Like, let's highlight them so that now.
So it's not about first looking at where it can't go to. First is looking at where can the queen go to that is active. Look for the queen's ideas, not really the moves first. Look at the ideas first. Once you see the idea, because there are many moves the queen can go to, right? But what are the ideas for those squares? If you understand the concept of activity?
Well, this here that attacks my bishop, but after picking, I defend my bishop. This one. Then this here that attacks my rook. Attacks this pawn, but the pawn is defended.
So what are you seeing? What are the likely moves? What's the idea that black may have? Like if you're black, what moves do you consider?
Here.
Okay, white wants to play after rook to c1. And this is the thing I say, that before you play your move, think of your opponent's next moves. Then think about what you're doing about it. Very simple.
Well, they can attack my bishop.
If they attack your bishop there, what do you do?
I pick.
And then what options do they have from that position?
Okay, they can't pick. They can bring the rook. Or they can play here.
They can?
They can attack my bishop and my rook, but I can play here.
A general principle of chess: bring more attackers. So the move which you really should think about is rook c8 first. You need to see those kinds of moves. Rook to c8 is attacking your bishop twice. What do you do about it?
Can bring my queen. They can try now here, wanting and play here. Wait. But now I can just play bishop.
Just
bishop here. And now my bishop isn't attacked. I'm saying, like,
do you know the saying about teach a man know how to fish, not teach a man how to fish, not how to eat. Yes. If a man asks for food, it's better to give them fish or to teach them how to fish. What's the best way, Era? Someone asks for fish, is it better to give them fish or to teach them how to fish?
to teach them how to fish.
That's what I'm trying to do right now. So, what are your candidate moves in this position? What do you like? Okay, let's not even. What are your candidate moves? Literally, those are the candidate moves, right? Okay, that's fair enough. But looking at serious moves right now, right? Rook to c1 and queen to b3. Those are the serious moves. Rook, queen to b3 and rook to c1, right?
Yeah.
So you really want to see, do they both work? Because your plan is very simple. Why one works when one doesn't work? Understanding that difference is very good. For example, let's say, you play, why does one work and not the other? Question. One works and one doesn't.
Well, if I play here,
Mm.
I can just move.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can play here. No, why would I even just move?
Okay, check them there. What are their options? Okay, you need to think about.
This there.
Can they capture? No. Can they move? Of course they can play to f7. So why would you choose h8 instead of f8?
I saved one last time.
Yeah.
I saved it last time.
Why would I choose f8?
Why would you choose f8 as opposed to h8 instead of say f8?
h8.
Yeah.
h8.
h8 for black after the check. Queen to b3 check.
h8 as opposed to?
Okay, you played queen b3 check, and your heart immediately said king h8. Why not king f8?
So if you bring your king here, my rook is not my rook. My queen is there.
So the problem here is you're trying to answer positional question with a tactical answer. That is wrong. Chess, people say chess is 99% tactics. That's also not true. When you become very good at chess, you understand that a lot of chess is about improving your position. So you look at key positional concepts, which are material. Tell me what they are, Hera.
Weaknesses.
No. Okay, there are weaknesses, yes, but that's not what I've been teaching. I've taught you guys like 5 key things to evaluate a position. What are those things?
Material, piece activity, pawn structure.
Yeah. Chess is not about material.
It is also about material. Pawn structure, piece activity, what else?
You said weaknesses are not there.
Weakness is not there. Because the weaknesses are determined by
safety of the king.
King safety.
Development. Wait, that's piece activity.
And night outposts. Those are the 5 things I want you to pay attention to.
Isn't that piece activity?
No, it's night outposts is specific, very specific. So you have 2 options, king to h8 and king to f8. What positional concept determines whether you go to h8 or f8?
King safety.
Of course, very simple chess. So when you try to answer positional question with the tactics, you can't calculate 50 moves. There's a reason why that king is not safe there, but it's maybe 8, 9, 10 moves ahead. You don't have all the time to calculate that. That's why we are better than computers. No, we're not better than computers now, but we are faster. Like a computer can calculate like 100 million moves per second or something, but they still have to work extra hard, get a bit of help from humans to, So understanding that very simply, king f8 is not safe. That's not going to play. Now, you think of the positional idea first, then you think of tactics. Positionally, you want to make your king safer by going to h8. But then you check whether tactically it works. So positional is the idea. It improves my piece activity, it improves my pawn structure, it improves my knight outpost, it improves my king safety, those kinds of things. Or it weakens my opponent's positional position by making their kings less safe or some other things like this. But before you play a positional idea, you have to check the tactics. Because if there's a tactic that loses a game, then that positional idea doesn't work. So you see the positional idea, then you calculate and say, are there any tactics to make it not work? So here, the move you want to think about is king h8 after queen b3. Sam?
Yeah.
Okay. So queen b3 check. Sorry, you've taken a whole year of chess, so now coming back is a bit tricky, but yeah, queen b3 check. King, then what move? Why the a rook, not the e rook?
Well,
Hmm?
there's a my e rook can come to this file. This one can come to this one.
Okay, so very simple answer again, also position. Your e rook is already doing something. Your a rook is doing nothing. Bringing more pieces to the party, very simple chess. Okay, improve activity. Which rook move improves your position most? Rook on a to c1. The rook is less active, it becomes more active. If you move the rook on e, it leaves one active. Yes, it becomes a bit more active, but the rook on a is still far less active. So these kinds of positional concepts are very important. But the piece activity sometimes is not sacrificing material, because once your pieces come into the game, tactics will appear from nowhere. So I want you to pay attention to positional play, like what moves improve your position, what worsens. So can you calculate? There are two possibilities: queen b3 check, king h8. Okay, the other thing I'll check normally is because my first idea is rook on e to c1, right? Winning maybe a knight possibly. That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
If I check first, does it give black some new possibilities?
Yes.
Like what?
You check, they move the king. You play there. They bring the queen there. You pick and they pick and pick your rook.
Yes, that is if you look at it like that. But from b3, first of all, the queen can go to f3. It's a check. So queen times e4, you think the check may move away. That's what I'm trying to get you out of. It's a queen on e4 check. Can you capture? No. Can you block? Yes. Queen on f3, they can take your rook.
So when the queen is here and you've attacked them, they can bring the knight and attack your queen. Or even here.
Papa,
If you pick,
officially
pick.
have two games.
And
Yes.
if you pick, you pick.
Please log into just to the account.
Hello, one moment, please. Let me doing something here. That's a very nice, so that's a very solid idea actually, because when they attack your queen, when they attack you attack their queen, they attack your queen. Okay, that's a tactical line. So calculate it and see whether it works or not. Check, check. Start with check. King there. Rook to c1. Rook on a to c1, which is a better positional move we are thinking about. Then knight to knight to a5, for example. Looks like the knight is safer there, it's not loose. Take the king, take your knight, attacking your rook, and you literally, you have an active move there. So in that position, look for activity. Look for active moves. Candidate moves again. This knight is hanging, your rook is hanging. That's why you take time in chess and see. And I agree with you, maybe I can't see a continuation from that point, so it doesn't work. So what will I play now? Yeah, so you play that because you think that's a better move.
Papa, this thing had switched off.
If you don't want to lose games, that's literally, there's no other way around it. Oh, I like this tactic. It's very nice. If you follow the ideas, you'll see what it is. Very easy, amazing. What are you thinking?
bishop here.
Solar banana.
They can pick, but no.
Okay, what are your active moves? Bishop e4 is one. So you know, you're just doing arrows, but the idea of looking at the active moves is not to just count for your coach or your dad. You need to identify this is an active move and what is an active move. Okay,
This
it's
one?
for yourself.
Oh, when you draw it 2 times, it disappears. Okay, this is an active move because it's a check. It's an active move because it's
Checks. See all your checks.
an active move because it's a check. It's an active move because it's a check. It's an active move because it's a check. This is also a check. Another check. This is also a check. Yeah, those are my checks. Attack captures. An active move because this is an active move because it's a capture. This one. Then there's also that one. There's also this capture. Attacks on the queen. Not just attacks or threats. I think there's this. This attacks the rook. That pins it to that. And if the queen picks, there's this check. The king moves down, then there's this checkmate. If the queen doesn't pick, and they play what? Let's see. There's a check.
So what we're doing now is not what they play, active moves for your opponent. Very easy. If you pay attention to the start with checks, checks, discipline yourself.
Then there's 1, 2.
Those are checks and captures, right?
Yes.
What else? So like reasonable. Sometimes we'll default to reasonable active moves, but it's really important to look at all because sometimes the answer is what looks like right now. That move bishop to d3 looks so unreasonable, but in fact, it's worth considering. Of course, I don't think it works. You need to see why it doesn't work. Wait a minute. What's going on here? I don't think it works at all, but it's worth considering, isn't it? Why does it not work? So if you play bishop d3, what move will white play? It's white to play. Okay, what's your idea first and foremost?
If they pick, there's that to check. They don't pick, there's this certain checkmate.
They don't pick. How is that checkmate? If like they do nothing, let's say they push b, if they choose push b7, for example.
They pick.
Then the queen.
The queen picks.
No, the queen. They played b7 here. Yes. And first of all, please note that if you play bishop to d3, and they played, let's say, rook to d2, so like I'm just saying, queen to f1 is not checkmate.
Well, but it threatens, doesn't it?
I'm saying bishop there, move the white rook to d2, white rook to d2, just to the arrow, to open for the bishop at the diagonal, so it can see f1, rook to d2, Okay, now your queen goes to F, whatever. Move the king to H2. What was your threat? Right. Right. Okay. So start by calculating your checks. See the reasonable checks. That looks like 1, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Calculate it.
Papa, I thought that you're supposed to look for all your candidate moves
We've looked at them
first.
already. We have looked at the candidate moves.
All of them.
Okay. So, Hera, what you're doing is the same thing we said. Your move 2 thought process is not okay. Move 1, you've taken good time and you've looked at many options. But move 2, you're assuming that your opponent is just going to play bad moves only, which is generally
Look for
not
the best moves
good.
for your opponent.
So
Are you helping her?
what you're looking at is rook c1. Correct. Move. Okay. Then queen takes is what are the options? So here, first and foremost, before you say queen takes, you think of your options. What are the options in that position? Now, what are the options for white? It's very easy to see your own options, but the options you want to look at are your blacks. First of all, candidate moves for white. You should have seen there's b7, there's queen here, there's queen here, check. So after this move, okay, if you don't see anything else after this move, for attack, if there's a checkmate threat, even this move, that check, of course you pick with the queen and they pick with the rook. End of story. Now, even though I'm not necessarily winning as white, but for you to win, this position is going to be hard. I have 3 pawns for the bishop. Then even if you have to exchange, I just need to get rid of 1 pawn. Of course, the position is still bishop versus rook, and versus rook and king is generally very hard for the defending side. But most people don't even know what to do in that position. So there are options like this is not an easy win. Bishop to d4, d3, because immediately queens can be exchanged. And I lost a game against a grandmaster in the Olympiad. I was actually much better. Then I missed the queen check that exchanged the queens.
Does a grandmaster in Kenya?
No, I was in the Olympiad in 2018. I was representing Kenya. My first game, and I was playing very well. I think in 40 something was better. Probably winning outright.
Were you at GM?
No, I wasn't. But I was winning against a GM. You can look up the game, it's online, those who are watching. So I missed a queen check that traded off the queens. So these principles will really help you. Unless, if you want to win, this is the way, right? So, what are we saying? This doesn't seem to work primarily because of this move. I'll not even pay too much attention. But also, even after this move, there's this threat immediately. So let's say you pick with the rook, which is a really serious threat. I can queen check first.
Why not pick with the bishop?
Why not?
Oh, never mind.
There's no threat. The rook picks is like you're not threatening because it's threatening like a checkmate already. And even bishop picks, I will check queen with that check. And now I suddenly have 2 queens against this king. I don't even have to look at it. I'm sure there's a checkmate somewhere. Because there's an open exposed king versus 2, and I can exchange the queen immediately. So after queening first, then I can actually make a decision on whether I'm able to checkmate you or not. And I'm fairly certain checkmate is going to happen. And this one is a training error.
Wait, this is help?
No, yes, I've been helped.
But I didn't ask for help.
Yeah, you need it, even if you don't. Not to help solve puzzles, but to learn chess.
Papa, so which time am I going to watch?
Give it a moment, please. Let's finish this.
How many minutes?
Well, until Hera lands. The moment Hera lands, you'll be okay. So talk to your sister to learn what I'm trying to teach her. Okay. So the natural option is to just imagine that you're playing alone. It doesn't happen like that. So what move are we thinking about here? So I'm saying our candidate moves. We are saying rook here check, right? Now, what are the options for black, for white? There's this move, it's a check. picking that, you can block this. Then you can play your king up. Is there any other option in response to that check? I'll take a moment and think, and just to confirm that there is none. There are only those three. Okay. I'll start with the easy one that looks very wrong. King here. I can already see I have a nice check here, and this is a checkmate. Am I right?
Yeah.
So that definitely we can knock off. I'm very happy with that. If I play here, and they play, okay, not first move first is to pick actually. I play here and they pick my rook, right? So basically it's a rook sacrifice. Do I have an active move? You can see the first thing, one of other candidate moves of this check, which you couldn't play because the queen was defending. So this check, they can't take my queen for sure. So the options are to block, and yes, there's a block here by the rook, and to move the king away. Move the king away. Where can I move the king to? The king can move to this move square and this square. So let's start with the most obvious move, which is rook block, which in addition to that, the rook comes here, it's pinning our queen. So we better have an immediate checkmate or our queen is lost. So you see, you're thinking about this check and then queen comes here, then the king goes here and this is checkmate. That is true. If they move, if you go check here and they pick our rook and then we come here to g3 check and they make the mistake of playing the king here, then bishop to h3 is checkmate. It's not even checkmate, by the way. Because in that position, they can still bring the rook. But then in this position, you can pick check. Then they have to move to this square. Then we probably can play check here.
Hello.
It is that place? No,
Please
it's not.
learn what that's telling me.
Yeah, we can play check. Then the king can move up. Then we can probably exchange the queens or something. And hopefully my bishop can get back in time to stop this guy. I don't even see it happening. But I'm still losing. So let me explain what's happening here. As black. Check. Queen takes. Check. Let's make this blunder. Bishop check. Rook here. Which threatens the queen. So maybe the two picks. There's this bishop picks and queen picks. Let's start with the most obvious queen picks. My idea is very simple. I want to exchange of the queens and probably have a bishop left. So yeah, I play check. King comes up. I check again, maybe here. King goes up. I take your queen, take your queen, I take your pawn, right? But now this pawn moves one step. And my bishop cannot stop it. It becomes a queen next. These are because you look at the candidate moves for your opponent and they become ideas, all right? So that move definitely does not work. That check doesn't work. Okay, this check doesn't work. Of course, it's just a pick. Okay, then there's this check. The rook can come down to, oh, this is first of all check. So this doesn't even work, right? Have you seen?
Yeah.
So which was the other candidate move you had seen? What is the threat?
Checkmate. All of that checkmate. Check.
What is your, let's say they give you a pass and it's your turn again, what are you doing? Okay, the first thing I'm seeing is that in this position, if it's my turn again, I'm going to play this check now. Okay. And if they take my queen, now there's a skewer here, and they take your queen for free. So I'm very happy with that possibility. That's a threat. That's one threat. Second threat is, what else? Let's see this check. King comes up. Let's make a queen check here anyway. King goes down. That looks really bad, but there's no knockout blow. Doesn't work. So maybe that's just that main threat. Okay, let's have a look at it and see if we play here check. If you play there and they pick it, because that's the most natural move. What options?
Check
With what?
the rook.
Check with the rook, okay. What do they play? What are the options?
There's king down, there's block.
So capture is out, right? And it's not king down. This is king down. This is king up for white. This is king up for black. Okay, so rook to... So bishop here, queen takes on e4. Rook to c1, check. Okay. So capture is not possible because the queen has moved. The queen is now here, can't pick. So there's a block. Let's start with this block. If the block, what options?
Check
And what?
the queen.
Queen takes check. What are the options for... Oh, that's one option, but you can look at other possible moves so that you don't miss anything, right? So in this position, I say, okay, fine, I've done my check. They have, what are the options? They have this option. They have, I think, that's a block, and they can move the king, they can move the king. Those are the only options. So we start with this, this option, and now there's this check, right? And that check is one possibility. Another possibility is to pick. Of course, they pick back. That doesn't look very promising already off the bat. I don't have any other. If I come back threatening the same thing, it can at worst be a repetition. But in fact, they have this check here and the exchange of the queens. I can't play a slow move. And that queen exchange is not good. So let's start with this check, which looks most promising. Queen check here. It's a double attack there. My queen can't be picked, and that check can be blocked. So the only move they can try is to move the king to a place where it's defending this rook. And that is one of two possibilities, which is king here and king here. Because now
can't move there.
the king has already one move, only sorry, king there. So what option we have in that position?
Bishop check.
The bishop is what you give out on e4. Your move started the queen to bishop to e4. So you only have your rook and...
So then the queen can block.
What are you talking about? Yeah, actually, but no, the queen can't block because if you play this move, queen takes, check, then rook blocks, then you play check. This queen has a task of defending the rook. If it plays here, this is checkmate. So that block doesn't work. But this move picks, check, rook blocks, check, king there. So in that position, what are our checks? And see, queen here check. I have another idea. Is there perpetual? Because is there perpetual, and I think there is. I think there's a perpetual. Check here. If the queen comes to block, I can pick the queen, king picks, and I pick this rook. So this guy is tied down. But this is not winning. Looking for win. Are you seeing anything? I think I found it. I found the answer, but I'm wondering whether you have. Take a look and see. It's a very nice tactic. Does it work? No, it doesn't work actually. Oh, it works. It works perfectly. It works perfectly. Very nice. And it's only one 2, 3, 4 moves. And by move 3, you already have the answer. Which were the candidate moves again, by the way?
Papa, can you guys end the stream?
Not alone. Okay, have you calculated that line, by the way?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so calculate it, because that's like we've looked at some important sacrifices. The checks don't seem to work, but you don't look at the captures. So checks captures. So capture the rook, we see what to calculate that. Queen picks. Most natural move. Oh yeah, there's that move. That just blocks everything. Oh, I actually missed that. No. Ah, that actually still works. Bishop check on e4. Yep. Then bishop takes on that square, stopping this pawn. That position is winning. I have more material. My bishop is active. Your pawn cannot queen. Your king is out of range. It's a very important one to know that it's very hard for the bishop to stop this pawn because the diagonal is blocked. So that actually works. Okay, so what if the queen doesn't block on the queen doesn't block on g2? Then what? Picks. Check. Okay, so the king has to move. Which are the two moves? That and this, the easy one. King f1.
One more time.
No, thank you. King f1. Check. What is the move? Queen blocks. Queen picks. Check. And you can
Pick.
and that check. Position is completely lost, right? So let's take the king to the other square.
Check.
This.
Papa.
So what is the move?
Are you starting with rook times e2?
You're starting with rook times e2.
Queen times e.
So again in this position, Hera.
Queen.
Yeah, that's one possibility. What we have that active moves? There's that. What else?
G3. Then they block with the queen. You
should see the fact. Yeah.
You have two checks after there. Number one, you can play queen to e1.
Are you blocking the screen?
And
so this is the position here in Trello. 1 moment.
Times.
Wait, Trello. So this is where we are. Tell me if you find the correct move, which I think you can find. All right. So this move picks.
Check. Okay, there.
Yeah, that's the position. One, you play two moves. So what are the options for black? What moves?
Where's the queen again? Oh, the queen is on e2.
The queen is not on. The white queen is on e2. Yes.
Yeah.
You'll break the. Are you sitting on the chair?
It's going to break. So the candidate moves for. Let's look at the checks first.
I can see one check already. Pick. Wait,
You're already looking as well. I know you are zoning off.
Pick. There.
Is the
Bishop check. But they can still capture. But what do you have another check after the capture?
So the move that I want you guys to find is bishop here. It's a very simple move. It's a simple threat. You're threatening queen here, bishop here, which is a check. You don't need to stop it, just bring your queen and checkmate. So basically, this is a checkmate threat.
But I just came right
This
now
also
when I was
attacking
looking for my checks first.
That's
I
fine.
was following the principles.
That's very good, Tello. It's just that time I am being mindful of you. You're attacking the queen. Now, we have always said when the queen is attacked, you don't assume that the queen will move away. Move away where? Do they have active squares they can move to? First and foremost, you look for checks in that position. Do they have checks? They do. There's this check. It's only one, but the bishop can come back and take that queen. Have you seen? That check doesn't work. Do they have any other check? No. Do they have any other capture? No, it's a queen only. Can they play to an active square? Yes, they can, but whenever they play to this check is happening. So this doesn't win. So my view, this is the first move.
That was help.
Oh, definitely. What do you mean that was help? Pick this. Okay, so we worked out this. This is not a 1900 rated puzzle. It's a puzzle that is rated much higher than 1900. But the help I want you to pick and appreciate is the help. Now let's look at the things that we looked at that were all very convincing. We said, okay, let's start with this, then this. We looked at all this we saw, and this. So in this line, it's very easy, Hera, it's very easy in this line to stop your calculation here, but the queen just blocks. Okay. And you need to see what happens after that. Normally the move after is where everything ends. Pick. This position is winning. I don't have to calculate to the end. I just know that black is winning. But you must see this transition. Otherwise you miss tactics. So let's look at the other possibilities. See whether because we did a lot of calculation here. This is like real chess. We started with this move, where we said, what did we say here? This check doesn't work because of, just pick it, right? And if you play check here, then there's just this, and the queen is lost, correct? Then we also said that if you start with this move, once again they can just pick it, right? And our plan was to play here check, and we say, by the way, in this check they can still block with the rook. It doesn't work. Why? Checkmate. Or checkmate, that we saw here. We saw that checkmate. So the move was to block here, yes. It's a check, they have to move. We say the move, only move. What did we find here? Doesn't work. And we said we could find a perpetual, which is true, and that's why it's 0 zeros. This perpetual could be, and that's not what you're looking for as black. So this perpetual, if you remember from the string. So the other thing we said was what other candidate move? We said this move. Okay, and we said that's probably losing. What is the idea here? What did we say was the move here? I said two possibilities. There is this move. I don't know if it works or not. That's the move b7 we said, and actually it's actually the best move because you're throwing into queen. So now what? Pick with the bishop. That's what you said. Just make a queen, and I think this checkmate here, I told you I don't have to calculate it, and indeed it's mate in 4. King f7, king on e to a7. Okay, I don't know, I'm just following out the engine. Let's say we're sacking the rook doesn't help our attack. We have to move up, which is either here or here. Let's start with this, and I can see this queen coming to, or d8 is what's recommended. f8, okay, let's follow the best move. King to e5, queen comes, check, this is blocked off. You have to go here, and queen times c6 is checkmate. So already 2 queens against an open king is checkmate. I don't have to think about anything there. So let's say, look at, let's say bishop here, b7, rook takes, b8, and once again it's mate in 5. Can you see that? Because there's 2 queens against an open king, there's nothing to calculate there. That calculation is lost. What other candidate move did we calculate?
Bishop e3.
Bishop e4, right? No, bishop
e4.
This we already saw. We said if you pick here, check. Maybe there's a move we said only move was that. There is nothing else. then it's a perpetual at best. As you blunder, we have to change to perpetual. There's a line I thought I said that it doesn't look positive because we'll never stop this. Yeah, I said that if we said, for example, we played, yes, I remember what it was. If we played check and they didn't pick, right? No, if you play this bishop here, and let's say bishop, pick, and you play this check. I was saying that even if they play here, we are still not winning or the bishop is gone. I was looking for a time when you could play this check, then exchange everything here, and it still doesn't work. That was in what scenario? It was, oh yeah, it was this. I remember it was rook check. I think this still doesn't work. Anyway, fair enough. Maybe you call it a quit. You call it quit, so you want to continue? Okay. What do you want to do?